what's happening around the world
and what's happening here at home. A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1, bringing you the news. I'm Mariam Ganavijaya.
And I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Microsoft-linked IT outage disrupts services around the world, including Sri Lanka. 22nd Amendment to the Constitution rejected by the Minister of Justice, gazetted by President's order. Will the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution be tabled in Parliament this week? 22nd Amendment to the Constitution will not influence presidential election, Commissioner General of Elections assures. Changes to passport issuance process caused frustration among public. Imagine reaching the airport ready for your vacation or a business meeting only to find your flight delayed.
Or heading to the grocery store and facing a checkout line snaking through the store because the card machines are down.
A minor glitch in a security software for Windows computers caused a bit of a tech hiccup today. While the problem itself might seem small, it tripped up a surprising number of things we rely on daily. From airline booking systems to supermarket scanners, a lot more runs on software than we might think.
Airlines, banks and broadcasters across the world are affected by the meltdown, which is believed to be due to an issue with Microsoft and the global cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. Let's take a look at the details.
A blue screen of death or blue screen suddenly appeared on some computers, ATMs and airline data screens around the world today. It took computer experts some time to discover the cause. At the same time, airports, flights, banking services, supermarkets, railway services and many other computer-dependent services were affected. Foreign media reported that some services were inactive due to this. What caused the outage? Microsoft Windows 10 uses Falcon security software made by CrowdStrike, an American cybersecurity technology company. An update to the Falcon software was released today. CrowdStrike admitted today that a bug in its update was to blame. What happened next? Australia was severely affected by the system crash. Technical problems were reported with airlines, railway services and ferry services. Services at major institutions in several countries, including Japan, Canada, the United States and Germany were suspended today. Broadcasters including Sky News UK, Sky Sports News, ABC News in Australia, CBBC, the BBC Children's Channel were affected. Neighbouring India's Indigo flights were also disrupted by computer system crashes. Sri Lanka was also impacted by this IT breakdown. Sri Lankan Airlines announced this afternoon that errors in the seat reservation system have now been rectified. The Sri Lanka Computer Emergency Readiness Team said that several other companies in Sri Lanka were affected.
CrowdStrike Falcon මුදුකාංගයේ දෝෂයක් හේතුවෙන්
The error in the CrowdStrike software affects computer systems using the Windows operating system. The error has been reported to us. We have learned from several institutions in Sri Lanka that computer systems crashed when using the software. However, the software company CrowdStrike was already aware of the issue and has provided a temporary solution.
මෘදුකාංග සපයන සමාගම විසින් දැනටමත් తాවකාලික විසඳුමක් මේ සඳහා ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා.
Road to Election 2024.
The 22nd Amendment to the Constitution was gazetted today by order of the President, sparking controversy after Minister of Justice, Prisons Affairs and Constitutional Reforms Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa previously announced his opposition to the move. The amendment aims to address a contradiction within the Constitution. While Article 83B sets the President's term at 5 years, provisions for holding a referendum on extending terms kick in only after 6 years. The Cabinet recently approved the amendment to rectify this. A successful passage of the amendment would allow for a referendum to extend the term limits of both the President and Parliament exceeding 5 years. Cabinet decisions reveal that the proposal for the amendment was jointly submitted by the President and the Minister of Justice himself. However, Dr. Wijedas Rajapaksha backtracked last night that he had instructed the Justice Ministry Secretary to halt issuing the Gazette due to concerns raised by various parties who view it as a ploy for manipulating future elections. Minister Dr. Wijedas Rajapaksha told Newsfirst that the President, as a head of the Cabinet, ultimately exercised his authority to gazette the draft amendment.
The inauguration ceremony of the new court complex in Galle was held under the auspices of President and Minister of Justice today. Speaking at the event, the President expressed views about the upcoming election and the constitutional amendment.
Now look at America's decision against Trump. Some people are blaming the Chief Justice while the rest is praising him with flowers. Some people are protesting opposite the courts, but no one will say it will harm America's democracy. What will happen when Trump comes into power? They neither say nor show it. We don't claim I'm the sole savior of democracy. These politicians, many of them lawyers, may not have all the answers. Perhaps there are people with deeper legal expertise. Regardless, protecting democracy is a shared responsibility. We engage in arguments, debates with other parties and legal actions through fundamental rights petitions. These are all part of the democratic process which shouldn't be halted. An election is approaching and it will take place. The Chief Justice and the Supreme Court have emphasized the importance of holding it on schedule. We agree. So why the commotion? Let me explain. In 2015, we proposed a new constitutional amendment. Usually, I would entrust Attorney Choksi with such tasks. But unfortunately, he was no longer alive at the time. I then appointed Attorney Jayampathy Vikramaratne, but due to his inexperience, he overlooked the removal of a specific article. This resulted in our failure to enact the necessary laws. For appointing him and causing this omission, I sincerely apologize to the people of our country. Lesson learned. Experience matters in appointments. Therefore, this time we entrusted the announcement to the Minister of Justice. That is it.
මේකම ඉගෙන ගත්තමින් පස්සේ පළපුරුදු තියෙන අයට බාර දෙන්න කියලා. ඉතින් මේ සැරේ අපේ අධිකරණ ඇමතුමාට බාර දුන්නා. ඒවා ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න එච්චරයි තිබුණේ. මේ රට අරාජික වෙන්න මංකොලොත් වෙන්න බලපාපු
The main reason that led this country to anarchy and become bankrupt was the collapse of the rule of law. That is why we gave priority to building the rule of law. Many law reforms took place. Legal reforms that were not carried out in 15 to 20 years in a different time, we carried out within 2 years. We put forward laws according to the Constitution to ensure the independence of the judicial system. On the other hand, we have already provided all the necessary facilities to the Executive Council. Therefore, regardless of party or differences of opinion, we can all be happy that the environment necessary for the rule of law to work in this country has now been created.
පරිසරය මේ වෙන විට රට තුල සම්පාදනය වී තිබීම පිළිබඳව.
Will the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution affect the upcoming presidential election? This is what the Commissioner General of Elections had to say.
අපිට බලය ලැබිච්ච මේ 17 වෙනිදා ඒ අනුව සභාපතිතුමා සඳහන් කරව ආකාරයටම පැහැදිලිව ඉදිරි සතිය තුලදී ඊට අදාළ ගැසට් නිවේදනය නිකුත් කිරීමට කමිටු සභාව කටයුතු කරයි.
ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනයේ බලපෑමක් වෙනවද?
නෑ ඔබ දන්නවා ඕනම රටක අපිට බලපවත්වන නීතිය තමයි අපිට ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. මේ වෙනකොට මේ රටේ ආණ්ඩුව ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ සාධාරණ ආකාරයට කටයුතු කිරීමට කමිටු සභාව බැඳී සිටිනවා. යනවා අපිට කිසිදු ආකාරයක බලපෑමක් නැහැ. මේ මෙතන ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කිරීමේ කටයුතු සඳහා.
තවත් කෙනෙකුට මේ ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ බලපෑම් තියෙනවා විදුපුත් වෙන බලපෑම් තුමා
නෑ කිසිදු ආකාරයක බලපෑමක් නැහැ. නමුත් යම් යම් මාධ්‍ය තුලින් යම් යම් පුද්ගලයන් කරන ප්‍රකාශ තුල එවැනි තත්ත්වයක් තිබෙනව පෙන්වීමට දරන උත්සාහයක් නම් අපි දකිනවා. නමුත් එවැනි කිසිදු ආකාරයක බලපෑමක් අපිට නැහැ. මොකද මේක සියලුම කමිටු සභාවේ සමාජිකයන් සහ මම ගෙන් පහළ අපේ කාර්ය මණ්ඩලයේ කිසිදු ආකාරයක බලපෑමක් නැහැ කිසිදු කෙනෙක්ගේ.
Nelum Deepika Udugama, Professor of Law and Head of the Department of Law at the University of Peradeniya, stressed that the presidential election must be held on time. She expressed these views on Sirasa TV's Mawatha program last night.
ලංකාවේ තියෙන රාජ්‍ය පාලනයේ ස්තර තුනක්. ආණ්ඩුව පළාත් සභා ක්‍රමය පළාත් පාලන ක්‍රමය. ඒ ස්තර තුනෙන් කොහෙද තියෙන ජනතා නියෝජනය සුජාත මට්ටමේ. පළාත් පාලන ඡන්ද පවත්වල නැහැ.
Sri Lanka has a three-tiered governance system: national, provincial and local. However, citizen representation faces significant challenges. Provincial council elections have been stalled for years, undermining a crucial level of representation. The current president didn't come into power with the people's mandate. While parliament was elected in 2020, public trust has significantly eroded by 2022. Questions linger about the integrity of the current representatives. This highlights the critical need for elections this year as mandated by the Constitution for the presidency. Timely presidential elections are essential. The 1978 Constitution provided for a unicameral parliament and an executive president. Simply speaking, the people are the true leaders. There has been the opinion that we are the real power in this country. There was a massive Aragalaya in 2022, so there is no need for deception like this. This electoral system, which is strategically harming the people, needs to be turned in a different direction. Without acting like this, there is a great legal and moral responsibility. Act with integrity. Political power in this country use democratic rules and regulations as a tool to consolidate their power. So they go to various interpretations and find loopholes. They find various strategic methods not to implement the law properly. Why not focus on strengthening the nation? The truth is that at a practical level, there is no much difference between the current regimes in many countries. Because even though they are elected through elections, these elected leaders mostly deal with whether they have full power. Now in Sri Lanka, we don't have a president who was elected by the people's vote.
තොරාපත් වෙන නායකත්වයන් බොහෝ දුරට කටයුතු කරන්නේ තමාට පූර්ණ බලය තියනවා කියන එක. දැන් ලංකාවේ නම් ජනප්‍රිය මේ ඡන්දයෙන් තොරාපත් වෙච්චි ජනාධිපතිවරයෙක් නැහැ.
This is what President's Counsel Nigel Hatch had to say.
පැහැදිලි දැන් 19 ව්‍යවස්ථාව
It is clear via the 19th Amendment to the Constitution that the President's and Parliament's term is limited to 5 years. There is one interpretation. Article 83B doesn't have to be amended. The President and the Minister of Justice are making these comments at a time when the people, the voters, are facing many problems. Does this situation undermine the Constitution? Or is it a sign of deeper issues within our democracy? This uncertainty is concerning. While the parliamentary and presidential terms have been reduced from 6 to 5 years, I don't see a significant contradiction here. Is the 22nd constitutional amendment truly necessary? I have my doubts.
ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න අවශ්‍යද නැත මට තාමත් සැකයක් තියෙනවා.
Will the gazetted 22nd Amendment to the Constitution be tabled in Parliament? This is what the leader of the House had to say.
එතන 22 වෙනි ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව සංශෝධනයත් එක්ක
මේක මම හිතන්නේ දැන් මෙන්න එකක් නැහැ.
ඔබතුමා සභානායක විදිහට
දැන්ට පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ න්‍යායපත්‍රයට දාලා නැහැ.
ඔබතුමාට විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවා මේක ඉන්නේ.
ඉතින් මම න්‍යායපත්‍රය ඊයේ හැදුවා. ලබන සුමානේ තියෙන. ඒක නෑනේ.
ඒ කියන්නේ පැතිවරණ ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කළාට පස්සෙවත් වෙන එකක් නැද්ද මේක?
නෑ එහෙම ආවයි කියලා දිනවක් වොන්න ගත්තොත් ඒකේ තියෙන සැකහැර ගැනීමක් විතරයි. ඉන්හිහා මැතිවරණට බලපෑමක් වෙන්නේ නෑ. ඒක විවිධ කණ්ඩායම් සහ හරියට ව්‍යවස්ථාව සහ මැතිවරණ නීතිය කියවපු නැති අය කරන ප්‍රකාශයක් විතරයි.
The leader of the House expressed these views after a discussion held by the New Alliance, of which he holds a membership with an election monitoring organisation this morning. The former chairman of the Election Commission, Mahinda Deshapriya, also participated in the discussion.
විශේෂයෙන්ම දැන් මේ 22 වෙනි ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනය හරහා මේ ජනාධිපතිවරණයේ කල්දමන උත්සාහයක් තියෙනවා කියලා විපක්ෂයේ ඇතුළු දේශපාලන කණ්ඩායම් බොහෝ විට මේක කරනවා. ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ 22 වෙනි ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනයලා ජනමත විචාරණයක් ගෙනවත් මේ ජනාධිපතිවරණයේ කල් දාන්න බෑ කියලාද?
ජනමත විචාරණයකින් ජනාධිපතිවරණයේ කල් දැමීම සඳහා
To postpone a presidential election by a referendum, you must first go to the Supreme Court and get approval. Thereafter, you need the 2/3 majority of the parliament. That will never happen. The chairman of the Election Commission said that he will issue a press release next week. If he releases it next week, the elections will have to be held before the end of September. Nobody and nothing can stop that. If they are to postpone the presidential election, a referendum is needed. If you can gain majority votes to postpone, then you can win the presidential election. They are doing various tricks to postpone the election. They have run out of options and all their tricks are out. Therefore, the Election Commission must hold elections. Today is the first day to proclaim the date because you cannot hold elections on the 18th and 19th September. They can only hold elections after the 20th September. If that is the case, the announcement must be made on or after 20th of July.
නම ඡන්ද තියන්න බෑ. සැප්තැම්බර් 20 න් පසු තමයි ඡන්ද තියන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වෙන නම් ජූලි 20 හෝ ඉන් පසු ඕනේ නිවේදනය නිකුත් කරන්න.
Sri Lanka Padu Jana Peramuna is a decisive factor in taking the next steps regarding the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution. Will the SLPP, who has the majority power in the Parliament, support this amendment?
The president is responsible for postponing the local government elections. Therefore, people are doubting whether he will postpone the elections this time too by using some tactic. Our decision to give unconditional support to President Ranil Wickremesinghe, where SLPP has the majority, is only for his current tenure. We are ready to contest and win the presidential election. We can see certain people making accusations that the government is trying to delay the elections to cover up the government's incompetence. I very clearly remind you, you test the waters when you want to cover up the defeat. That's what the NPP and SJB are doing because they know they are going to lose. They are making these accusations because they are afraid. When they know the winning candidate is from SLPP, they make false claims saying that the SLPP does not like holding this election. No, we are waiting for the election to be held. Basil Rajapaksa is in a battle to present the most suitable candidate to solve the economic problem in the country today. But he has never mentioned anything about the Prime Minister's position. But we are still in the negotiation stage with the President to reach policy agreements.
හැබැයි කොයි වෙලාවකවත් එතුමා අගමැති තනතුර සම්බන්ධව කොහෙවත් කතා කළා නැහැ. හැබැයි වර්තමාන ජනාධිපතිතුමා සමග තවමත් සාකච්ඡා මට්ටමේ ඉන්නවා ප්‍රතිපත්තිමය එකඟතාවයන් වලට යන්න. අපිට එඩි නම් බලනකොට දෙක්ෂය දෙකඩ වෙලා වගේ එනවා. වෙනම කණ්ඩායමක් එතුමත් එක්ක යනවා. තව කණ්ඩායමක් ඔබතුමාලා කොයි ඉහළ නායකින් සමග ඉන්නවා. අපේනේ තවම ආණ්ඩුව.
The government is still ours, which means no minister in cabinet which is under the president can speak against the president, not even a state minister or a chairman of a committee. As a humane nation, especially as a party, we have decided that we will support the president until his last day in office and not overthrow the government. That's why majority of SLPP supporters are attending the president's meetings. Finally, we haven't decided who our presidential candidate is yet. We are holding discussions with President Ranil Wickremesinghe and Dhammika Pereira, and we also have youth representation like Namal Rajapaksa.
වික්‍රමසිංහ ජනාධිපතිතුමා සමගත් සාකච්ඡා කරනවා, තව අපේක්ෂකයන් සමගත් සාකච්ඡා කරනවා, මම හිතන්නේ ධම්මික පෙරේර මහත්මයාත් එක්කත් සාකච්ඡා කරනවා, තරුණ අපේක්ෂකයෝ ඕන Namal Rajapaksa මහත්මයා වගේ කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා.
This is the stance of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya.
This is a drama. On one hand, they tell the people elections should be held on time, while on the other, they do everything to delay them. That's why two representatives of the president went to the Supreme Court. Now it seems the president is pushing for a 22nd amendment. Never before have we faced such ambiguity surrounding election dates. The Supreme Court has already ruled on presidential terms, which is enshrined in the Constitution. Yet this lawyer goes to court again. The president is clearly trying to disrupt the election process. We suspect these actions are meant to create immense uncertainty in the country, allowing him to pursue his political agenda. The president is playing all his cards, but only jokers remain in his deck. Therefore, we urge the president to stop messing this up.
දැන් එයාගේ කාඩ් පැක් එකේ ඉන්නේ ජෝකර්ලා විතරයි. දැන් ඒ කිං ක්වීන් ඒ ඔක්කොම ඉවරයි. ඒකින්ද තව මේක අවුල් කරන පරමාර්ථයට යන්න එපා ජනාධිපතිතුමා.
එතකොට අද අධිකරණ අමාත්‍යවරයා එහෙන් ගිහිල්ලා
Even though the president has gone ahead and gazetted the 22nd amendment to the constitution, Justice Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa has told the ministry secretary not to do so. This is a joke. Doesn't the cabinet of ministers have a collective responsibility, or is this another drama? We are now trying to bring in the constitutional amendment and further delay the people's right to vote by calling for a referendum. I am requesting those responsible MPs to avoid confusing the people further at a time where elections must be held.
දෙපා කියලා අපි වගකිව යුතු පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ඉන්න මන්ත්‍රීවරුන්ගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that his aim is to create 1 million new micro, small and medium scale entrepreneurs.
The Hinatiyana Dhammaloka Mahavidyalaya in Minuwangoda was gifted a smart classroom by the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa under the 337th phase of the Sakpala program this morning.
As a pioneer in the fight to temporarily suspend the Parate law, we were able to win that fight after 4 years and give the micro, small and medium enterprises of our country a chance to get back up. The strength of a country is based when all businesses are safeguarded and with the start of new businesses. That is why by the end of this year we will be starting to work on a program where 1 million new businesses and entrepreneurs are created. In the future we will be building new industrial sector towns in all the divisional secretariats.
Leader of the National People's Power, Andhra Kumar Dissanayake, arrived in Japan this afternoon and he will be in Japan until the 22nd of July. Now, during his visit, he will address a public forum of Sri Lankans living in Japan, which is scheduled for the 21st. The National People's Power Media Division said that Andhra Kumar Dissanayake is scheduled to participate in several more discussions as well. Former Minister Mervyn Silva meanwhile met with the Mahanayaka Thero of the Askiri chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Warakagoda Sri Nanaratna Thero today to inform about the Gender Equality Bill.
Dolawatta is the one who will bring this bill. The bill proposed by Akla Viraj and Sagala Ratnayaka was rejected. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa refused to sign it, which is a key issue for many involved in the Aragalaya. Wasanta Mudalige, the Frontline Socialist Party, and others are also concerned. Sajid and Anura haven't commented on this issue. Harini Amarasuri argues that the bill is fair. However, some believe it restricts the activities of Buddhist monks beyond temple grounds. This raises concerns about religious freedom. To prevent the bill's passage before Ranil Wickramasinghe leaves office, a united front of monks is needed to voice their concerns. This is a critical time, not a return to a bygone era. Only through the leadership from the Siam sect can this bill be stopped. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa remains the only leader capable of protecting Buddhism and the Sinhala identity. A united call to action is necessary to halt this bill's passage.
Maligakanda Magistrate Lochani Abevikrama today ordered to re-summon Sri Lanka Freedom Party Chairman Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva to appear before the court on the 26th of July.
The Maligakanda magistrate issued the order today while hearing a case filed by Thilanga Sumatipala, General Secretary of the United People's Freedom Alliance, regarding the closure of UPFA office building located in TB Jayamawatha, Colombo 10. Attorney Priyantu Amarasinghe, appearing for the petitioner, told the court that even though they went to Nimal Siripala de Silva's residence a few times to hand over summons issued by the court, he was not there. Thereafter, the magistrate ordered to reissue summons to Nimal Siripala de Silva. Thilanga Sumatipala also filed a case in the Maligakanda Magistrates Court claiming possession of the United People's Freedom Alliance and the United People's Freedom Alliance headquarters.
The Election Commission was empowered to declare the presidential election 2 days ago.
The power of the people.
A chaotic situation arose at the Department of Immigration and Immigration's head office today, and this was due to a limitation on submitting passport applications. Only those who had previously booked a time and date through the online platform were allowed to submit their applications.
A large number of people arrived at the Department of Immigration and Immigration's head office in Battaramulla early this morning. However, only those who had booked an appointment online were allowed to enter.
Now, according to the Controller General of the Department, that is Harsha Ilukpitia, effective from today, all citizens who are coming here to get their passports renewed or to obtain a new passport have to reserve a date and a time via the official website and get an appointment before they come here for any services. Now, after this was notified to the public who have been standing in long queues, as you can see. Since early morning today, the situation at the premises got tense, where the officials had to summon police and army officials to control the situation.
බලන්න දැන් අපි උදේ පාන්දර දෙකේ ඉඳන් මේ පොලිමේ ඉන්නේ. මෙතන ඉන්නවා 2000කට වැඩිය. પાස්පෝර්ට් ගන්න. දැන් තාම නැහැ ගන්නෙ නැහැ කාවත්. ඔන්ලයින් ඇප්ලයි කරලා එන්න කියලා කියනවා. ඔන්ලයින් ඇප්ලයි කරන්න රෑ කියලා වෙලා උදේ කරන්න පුළුවන්ද?
රෑ 12ට එකපාරට කිව්වා කියලා පුතා මේ හැමෝටම ලොකු ෆෝන් අරවා මේව නැහැ නේ. අහිංසක මිනිස්සුනේ. ඒ හින්දා අද දවසේ අනිවාර්යෙන් අපිට chance එක දෙන්න.
පාන්දර දෙකේ විතර ඉන්නේ. අපි මේ ඩොලර් ගෙනන්න හදන්නට අපිට උදව් කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඉතින් මොකද කරන්නේ?
අපි බදු ගෙවලා අපි ජීවත් වෙන්නේ. ඒ වගේ අපිට කඳුළු ගෑස් ගහන්නත් ගෙනල්ලා පොලිසියෙන් එලවනවා. අර පැත්තෙන් ආහාරයෙන් එලවනවා. ඇයි එහෙම කරන්නේ අපිට?
Newsfirst correspondent reported that people who had not booked an appointment online were turned away and unable to receive services from the department. The National People's Power expressed views on the matter during a media briefing.
The day before yesterday, the office received a circular stating that online booking is now mandatory for passport applications. However, upon further investigation, we discovered that a tender for issuing e-passports was submitted with the process scheduled to begin on the 1st July. Unfortunately, the necessary mechanisms for activation weren't in place when the tender was awarded, raising concerns about fairness. As a result, many are left without passports. People of this country do not just ask for passports, they are asking for it to travel overseas. Today, Ranil is trying to inconvenience the people to a point where they won't even get their passport.
The Commissioner General of the Immigration and Emigration also expressed views on the matter.
පසුගිය අඟහරුවාදා අපි ජනතාවට දැනුම් දුන්නා ජූලි මාස 19 වන දින සිට දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ ගමන් බලපත්‍ර නිකුත් කිරීම සඳහා අයදුම් පත්‍ර බාරගන්නේ.
Last Tuesday, we announced a new policy. Starting the 19th July, passport applications will only be accepted with a pre-booked date and time through our website www.immigration.gov.lk. Today, some people arrived at the department without an appointment, causing minor disruptions. This change follows recent allegations of bribery within the department. To address these concerns, we have implemented a more secure system. For one-day service at our offices in Mathura, Vaunia, Kurunegala, Kandy and the head office, applicants must now book a date and time online. While we may be flexible with the exact time, arriving on the designated day before noon is mandatory.
මධ්‍යහන 12ට පෙර දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව වෙත පැමිණෙන ලෙස තමයි ඔබ හැමතෙම කාරුණික ඉල්ලීම කරන්නේ. පැයකට අඩු කාලයක් තුලදී එක් දින සේවා ගමන් බලපත්‍රයක් තමන් අතට ලැබෙන්න පුළුවන් ක්‍රමවේදයක් තමයි සකස් කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
The Indo-Lanka Physical Connectivity Blueprint was launched in Colombo today.
The roundtable discussion titled Bridging Borders, Enhancing Connectivity between India and Sri Lanka focused on strengthening connectivity between India and Sri Lanka, a key aspect of India's Neighbourhood First policy. The roundtable, organised by the Pathfinder Foundation, aims to develop a collaborative roadmap for improved physical and digital connectivity, fostering economic development in both countries, particularly Sri Lanka.
Pathfinder Foundation has been working on connectivity between India and Sri Lanka for a long period of time, and today's discussion relate to two items. One is digital connectivity, other one is physical connectivity. Physical connectivity is very important due to the fact that there are proposals for road connectivity, rail connectivity, exchange of electricity or grid connection, multi-product oil pipeline, restoration of Trincomalee oil tank farm, and many other things to be undertaken through this program. With regard to the road connectivity, we expect this subject will be discussed thoroughly, and in time to come, broad knowledge to the people in Sri Lanka to be passed on as to what is expected to happen under this particular program.
Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation Imal Siripala de Silva presided over the commencement of construction to modernise Hingurakkode Domestic Airport for international flight operations today. The 6-month project will extend the runway, enabling the airport to accommodate Airbus and Boeing aircraft models. The Sri Lanka Air Force will undertake the construction with a budget allocation of 17 billion rupees.
Rehan Javikrama, the SJB organizer for the Valigama constituency, said that students are not receiving adequate benefits for free education system.
මහා ලොකුවට පාලකයෝ පම්පෝරි ගහනවා අපිට තියෙන නිදහස් අධ්‍යාපනය කියලා.
Today, leaders boast about our free education and healthcare systems. However, what are the actual benefits reaching students? In reality, many come from families like fisherfolk who struggle to afford basic necessities. Teachers and principals often step in to fill the gaps despite their own low salaries. Principals typically earn around 50,000 rupees and teachers even less, starting at 37,000 rupees. Yet, when teachers protest these low wages, their actions are deemed wrong.
හැබැයි ගුරුවරු පාරට බැස්සට ඒක වැරදි. කවුරුත් හොයන්නේ මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ මුල කොහෙද කියලා.
The Sri Lankan embassy has said that it is in contact with the Omani Ministry of Foreign Affairs to obtain information about the Sri Lankan nationals who were missing after the oil tanker capsized off the coast of Oman. The Sri Lankan rescued from the ship is reportedly in good health.
Prestige Falcon, a Comoros flagged ship with a length of 117 meters, ran aground last Monday afternoon. The incident occurred about 25 nautical miles southeast of Ras Madraka Island in Oman. The ship was en route from the port of Dhaka in Oman to the port of Aden in Yemen when the accident happened. Out of the 16 crew members on board, 9 were rescued, including 1 Sri Lankan and 8 Indians. Oman's Maritime Safety Agency posted on its official social media account that one of the rescued crew members has died. According to the information from the Indian Navy, Kadir Kamadasan Vaidyadasan from Valvetithura Jaffna, Sri Lanka, was the ship's captain. Kuganesan Maheshadasan, another Sri Lankan national, served as the ship's second officer. Dayanithya Appasamy from Valvetithura Jaffna was the ship's chief engineer. Relatives of the missing Sri Lankans spoke to Newsfirst.
On the 16th, we were contacted by the company. They informed us that the ship had capsized due to bad weather and that rescue efforts were underway. Captain Kadir Kamadasan Vaidyakumar is a resident of Colombo. We were told that he and another person boarded a lifeboat, which is the only official information we have received. We are searching for them in the hope that they are still alive. The ship has capsized. My father was a civil engineer. We haven't received any updates yet. However, according to current news reports, a rescue operation is underway into the Omani Sea.
Day 40 of the third phase of the LOLC Divi Savya program, which is being carried out for the betterment of Sri Lanka's future generation, got underway today.
Today's program was centered around the Badula district. Under the Divisavya program, exercise books and stationery equipment required for a year are distributed free of charge to government schools with less than 150 students. Accordingly, school bags and stationery equipment were donated to students of Ikiriyagoda College, Uraniya Junior College, Pethiyagoda Junior College, Kalugaha Kadra Mahavidyalaya, Pusallaba Mahavidyalaya and Watte Khale College. School bags and stationery were also distributed to students at the Mahiyangane and Viyaluwa Zonal Education Offices. The LOLC Divisavya program continues to forge ahead for the future generation of Sri Lanka.
In some international developments, dozens of people have been killed in Bangladesh as nationwide student protests over the allocation of civil service jobs took an increasingly violent turn.
Student demonstrators continue to clash with police and pro-government activists today after 2 days of protests with government buildings torched and telecommunications severely disrupted. Reports suggest that the death toll from yesterday's violence had risen to 32. The death toll could rise with reports of clashes in nearly half of the country's 64 districts. More than 1,000 people have been injured. A police statement issued after a near-total shutdown of the nation's internet imposed by the government yesterday said protesters had torched, vandalized and carried out destructive activities on numerous police and government offices. Among them was the Dhaka headquarters of state broadcaster Bangladesh Television, which remains offline after hundreds of students stormed the premises and set fire to a building.
সকালেই সবাই আসছি আসার পর থেকেই আমাদের উপর পুলিশ এবং ছাত্রলীগ সকালবেলায় ল্যাব এইডের কাছেই অনেক আক্রমণ করছে আমাদের অলরেডি আমার সামনেই আমাদের দুজন গুলিবিদ্ধ হয়েছে আমরা হসপিটালে ভর্তি করাইছি ওইখান থেকে আমাদেরকে ধাওয়া দিয়ে এখান পর্যন্ত আনছে আমরা এখন বর্তমানে এখানেই আছি
The police statement said that if the destruction continued, they would, quote, be forced to make maximum use of law, in quote. Police issued a day-long ban on all public rallies in Dhaka today. Telecommunication networks were reportedly down with only some voice calls working in the country and no mobile data or broadband this morning. Calls from overseas were mostly not getting connected. Social media platforms like Facebook and WhatsApp were not loading. The nationwide agitation, the biggest since Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was re-elected earlier this year, has been fueled by high youth unemployment, with about a fifth of the country's 170 million population out of work or education. Protesters are demanding the state stop setting aside 30% of the government's jobs for allies of Hasina's Awami Party League, which led the country's independence movement. The jobs are reserved for family members of veterans who fought for the country's independence from Pakistan in 1971. A further 26% of jobs are allocated to women, disabled people and ethnic minorities. This leaves about 3,000 positions for which 400,000 graduates compete in the civil services exam. The students pushing for a merit-based system have been demonstrating for weeks, but the protests escalated after violence broke out on the campus of Dhaka University on Monday, with students violently clashing with police and the students' wing of the Awami League. The government shut all public and private universities indefinitely on Wednesday and sent riot police and the border guard paramilitary forces to campuses.
And with that, we wrap up Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you very much for joining us. Good night and take care.